Good morning. I'll be with you in a second. Sorry for the delay. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, Europe. I hope you're well. I had a bit of a late start. I apologize. We have a first bar positive, which actually dictates a sell. Interestingly, these have been failing recently. Problem is that today we have such a big gap up. See that? Anyway, let me just get all my charts lined up. Good morning. I hope you're well and welcome to this session, which is the 23rd of April Euro session. I executed a trade yesterday in the Nasdaq. I wonder if I can show you here on the chart. So I bought here, added a few times, got very close to being stopped out. At one point there was a really big correction mid-session, and then the market closed here. Tesla announced its news, may have been some other political news, and now we have a gap up situation. On the daily chart, you have this beautiful gap here, and while I have no doubt that there'll be some back and forth, it does point to 19,000 coming up, so I'm going to attempt to hold for that. I just wanted to show you that. I don't tend to trade the Nasdaq during the EU session. Can be done, of course. So what you're seeing here is a setup called first bar positive. First bar positive is the first bar in the FTSE. When that's positive and the market trades below it subsequently, as it's doing here, it calls for a sell signal. Now, interestingly, the last few attempts at this has been unsuccessful. And I'm not sure why I'm hesitating this morning, probably because I'm more inclined to be a buyer than a seller. So yesterday I was cautious, and that cautiousness did pay off. I was not cautious during the US session, though. I actually had quite a few trades, but I was cautious during the Euro session because we had a holiday in Europe. That meant that the market had been closed for 2 trading days. And today I'm a little cautious because we have a monster gap up, as you can see, and I'm not quite sure how the market will respond to that. Well, so far the market is selling off, but that could just be that anybody who was short has to cover their positions, and the market makers were marking up prices as high as possible. Whatever the reason, it is where it is. Today is Wednesday. I don't tend to trade on Wednesdays, but as I pointed out in the plan that I published at the beginning of April, because we had these holidays, then I did want to trade. I wonder if I can find that. Not readily. There it is. So we got a trading range environment. It would seem sellers pushing it down to the low end of the range. The low was 20. DAX prints 20 and rallies 100 points in a straight line. FTSE not dissimilar price action, as you can see here. contemplating a short position in the FTSE. Okay, we'll see. So just so you know that there's a fair amount of news coming out. So aggressive school run is setting up a long above 791 and a short at 738. I'm not taking them. If we do have news coming out, I just want to tread carefully. My short position idea in the FTSE. It's a good thing I abandoned that idea. Hmm. As you can see for yourself, we are in a trading range and have been most of the night. Sorry, I keep showing charts that aren't really relevant to you, but it's because I'm trading this myself. So would first bar positive have failed? Well, if you'd shorted at 18, there certainly would have been an opportunity to get out with a profit. So I will chalk that up one up to that approach did work today. I didn't take it. So according to my news monitor, and I use a free one, the German flash manufacturing PMI, which is a red flag event, is due to be released in a few minutes, 4 minutes to be exact. I think it's just one of those mornings where I have to be patient. I am contemplating what to do now with the sterling dollar. I'll show you the chart. So here's a daily chart of sterling dollar with my entries. And it feels to me as if it's going to turn into one of those trending moves, but this is my concern up here. Do you see that? And that's the irony of trading, is that we are often swayed by the direction of our position, because this to me would point to a double top on the weekly chart, and I would have sold short had I not actually been long. So here you see my entries, and you could argue that this is a really big trading range, and I'm wondering if I should take my profit. I don't know if it does offer. It does offer, but here you see it on a monthly chart, and you see how the last correction on the monthly chart lasted 4 months, and how the last time that the double top on a monthly chart was taken out. So you had a high of 131, and then it went as high as 134. So if we sort of follow that hypothesis, maybe we could see 137. Of course, it's all highly what do you call that? Speculation on my part. There's a history here of double tops being sold off on the monthly chart, but once you have established a base through a double bottom here, the double tops don't tend to last long. Having said that, I also have to weigh up the fact that I'm paying an overnight fee. I wonder if I can show you that. So do you see that I am paying an overnight fee? It's rather small, obviously. The TD doesn't charge a lot for overnight fees. All brokers charge overnight fees when you hold them. But so I do have to balance that. Going, well, if I hold this position for, just do the math yourself. This is every weekday, not just trading day, every weekday. And so say I hold this for 2 months. Well, that's 60 days. Well, 60 days at £1.50, call it that. That's £90. And I know it's like, okay, but £90 at the current profit is still 10% of the profit. So how would I feel? Well, I would hope then I would get 300 points out of it, but I have to balance that against that. That's uncertain. I don't know whether I'll get 300 points, but I know for certain that I will pay £90 for holding it in a couple of months. So that's the sort of the conundrum that I have. Okay, so apparently these news have been released now. I am none the wiser. We definitely got a trading range. I did the status up on the account yesterday. I have withdrawn £20,000. I think it's like 19,800, and the account is currently about at 31,500. With the open profit. And so I think I am approximately at £52,000 now. Starting from 10,000, so I made about 40, just call it 42,000 pounds so far on the £10,000 account this year. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that makes it about a 400% return. I think that's a significant. I don't think I could have hoped for that. I certainly wasn't planning for that. I was hoping, but I wasn't planning for it. my plan was to play defensive, and I think what I'm most pleased with is the drawdowns. They have been exceptionally small. I think the largest drawdown that I was able to calculate here during my live streams was 3.8%. I am now beginning to think I need to increase the trading size, but I haven't decided by how much. And I will also be the first one to acknowledge that I have been blessed with unprecedented volatility. And you may rightly ask, do you think that you would have been able to generate these kind of returns had you traded in a, shall we say, a more docile environment? I think the answer is no. I don't think I would have been able to. I certainly benefited from some very big moves. So school run has triggered now, but what you'll notice, I need to buy a new mouse, I think. What you'll notice here is that the DAX is trading, gap up, no doubt about that, but is trading within a trading range environment. And that environment is pretty pronounced throughout the night. And it feels to me as if the market is not about to enter into a trend. Obviously, that's just me speculating here. But when I look at the FTSE, I'm sort of seeing the same thing. It's within a trading range, and probably one that I should go contrary to, meaning that in the DAX I should play the ante. There's also just the possibility that I will not trade at all. I know that's not really my style. But the market doesn't seem either overly convincing in either direction. Not what I read now after the first 30 odd minutes of trading. There's a tremendous amount of discipline required to not execute a trade. A tremendous amount has to go into that mental discipline of, well, it doesn't quite feel right. Of course, if you have an approach, then by all means follow the approach. And I don't want to make excuses for my behavior. I don't feel I have to either, not with the returns that I have produced trading live. But I think it's fair to say that you will go through periods where you are the tiger, and then you'll go through periods where you are, what's that character called? Elmer Fudge? show you on using my software. Well, you can see it for yourself, can't you? I think I'll attempt a short position in the FTSE here. Maybe. Hmm. I can scalp this market, but positions, I think this chart says it all. Maybe I should just call it a morning. It will be one of the only sessions I think I've had here on YouTube where I haven't executed a trade. Seem to recall there was one other. But we're supposed to trade when the odds are in our favor. It just feels like one of those environments where I have to have a lot of patience and sit here and wait. If I had followed the school run approach, well, I'm actually not quite sure whether I would have wanted to be short or long. I don't think the market knows what it wants. This is a 1 minute chart of the FTSE. I'm going to attempt a short position here in the FTSE, but in smaller size. I'm going to use a 10-point stop loss. What I did was I looked at the 1 minute range, and I just wanted to be a seller at the prior bar candle high. This is what it looks like. Just looking at the DAX. Incredibly narrow range. Of course, I noticed in the FTSE how we went below prior bar low and reversed. But I made a bet that, oh, we're headed back and we're in a trading range. So far, that's not paying off. My stop loss is just 10 points and my stake size is a third of my normal stake size. My stop loss is at 48, so it's don't think that's gonna pay off. No. That felt now in hindsight as an inferior trade. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'll stop trading this morning. I placed one trade. It's a rather inferior trade selection, I feel now. I can't say I fought the trend either. It's perhaps more a question of I thought we would at least come down to the 8,432 area. So almost risking 10 points to make 7 or 8 points. I've been stopped out. Minus 10 on a third size. Yeah. I think that sort of cements it for me. There you go. There's the loss. I lost 50 pounds. I picked the wrong moment for a short, it would seem. So, now that I know that my trade selection is rubbish this morning, I will leave the arena with a loss. Certainly a deviation from the previous mornings, as the market is sort of wondering what to do with this gap up. And then the FTSE comes back down again. Ah, well, I'll call it a morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm perhaps a little bit disappointed that there was not more happening today. I can take some comfort knowing that if I had traded the school run, I would have been sitting here sweating, and maybe just now I would have been a little bit happy. So it wasn't to be. I will see you for the US session. In the meantime, I'm gonna just focus on other things. All the best. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry it wasn't quite the session that I perhaps had hoped for, but it happens. The damage is minimal, tiny, and the opportunities I didn't think were there. See you later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.